there!
I'm Emily.
And I'm Kayla.
And we just want to talk movies. I think Kayla's sleepy.
No, maybe.
She's waiting for Taco Bell.
I deep cleaned my kitchen today. That's all I've been doing is cleaning.
Oh, because you have the place to yourself?
Yeah, it's been so nice. I have an 8-bedroom apartment to myself, basically. But one of my flatmates has some sort of alarm that they didn't turn off before they left. So there was an alarm going off for, it must have been like half an hour only. But it freaked me out because I walked into the apartment and I heard this beeping and I was like, did I set something on fire? And I like stuck my ear up to all the doors and it was coming from someone's bedroom. And I was like, geez, I'm probably going to have to deal with that every day at 3 p.m. until she gets back.
Dang, that's annoying.
Anyway, today is episode 6.
It is episode 6 and I am so excited because we are talking about Agatha All Along. And
It's been Agatha all along.
Yes. I've been dying to give all my many thoughts on this show. But first, Kayla has some news, I think.
I'm the only one with news.
I have no news. I've had Agatha All Along on the brain, so that's it.
Nice. As I explained last episode, the Interview with the Vampire people have been campaigning to get Emmy nominations. So there have been a bunch of like events and little panels. And at one of them, they revealed that they are filming in Toronto not far from now. That's as specific as they got. And there is a rumored date of like, I think June 16th going on around the internet. So not too far away.
Nice.
The only other thing is Eric Bogosian, who plays Daniel Malloy, was at one of the events, and he is known for dropping spoilers, and it's very bad. He gets in trouble often, but he said that there is going to be some Daniel and Armand action in season 3, and that has made everyone excited, including me, because if you are a fan of the books, there's a chapter of Queen of the Damned called The Devil's Minion, and it is close to a masterpiece. It's very interesting, and they're definitely going to start adapting that, and I'm very excited. Anyway, that's all I have.
Okay, so I just have to say, everyone knows my thoughts on Marvel at this point. So when I heard about this show, I was so like, that sounds so dumb. Who wants a whole show about the villain in WandaVision who was already defeated? I was like, I do not care. I'm sick of Marvel shows. Loki is like one of the worst things I've ever watched in my life.
Really?
The more I think about that show, the more I can't stand it. Oh my god. But I was just so over it. I liked WandaVision. I think it could have been like a couple episodes shorter, but for the most part I liked it. But I was just like, why do we need an entire series about the random villain in WandaVision? And I was just, I'm out. I don't care. I'm never going to watch it. Well, then we all know what happened with Heartstopper and me realizing that the only other thing I could watch Joe Lock-in was Agatha All Along. And I still did not want to do it for such a long time. Like, do I really have to sit and watch a Marvel show? And I'm like, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just watch, like, let me watch a couple scenes, like, on YouTube to get a feel for if I'll like the show or not. The video I happened to click on was just, like, a compilation of Billy and Agatha's back and forth in the show. Mm-hmm. And literally, like, 30 seconds into the video, I'm like, okay, I gotta catch a glimpse of these warlocks, so I'm gonna watch this show now.
Let's go.
And,
literally, because they're literally witches.
Yes. As soon as I saw their banter, I was like, I think this might be good, actually. And sure enough, this is a great example of, I came for Joe Locke, but I stayed for the amazing, fabulous show about evil witches. That is the best thing I think Marvel has done since, I don't even know.
Endgame?
Probably
I
even
think it's
before
better
that.
than Endgame because I don't really like Endgame
Yeah,
that
I
much.
think I'd say it's better than Endgame. But anyway, that's
But Infinity War, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's probably like on level with Infinity War. But maybe
So many people
I
are going to be
don't know.
mad that we
Look,
just said that.
I'm sorry, but when it's witches and it's like straight up horror, pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
then
And it's gay?
yes, then that you have just spoken to me. So that's my
Yup.
little background of how I came to watch this show. So the first thing I have to say that wow, this is a Marvel show with an actual story and actual like characters and not just relying on other media and other like, remember this character? We'll shove them in. Remember this? No, it's like it's its own story. 100% its own story.
They have a little bit of that.
Yeah, like
'Cause with
tiny
the
little
lady.
bit. Yeah. It'll like pop in here and there, but I would say like for the majority of the show, you don't really need to watch any other Marvel content to still enjoy it as a complete show. Like obviously it's a lot better if you watch WandaVision and all that, but for the most part, you don't need to watch any of that crap. And I love that because that's another thing that I think a lot of people are sick of with Marvel is you have to watch all of this stuff that's mostly boring and awful in order to have an inkling of understanding.
At this point, it's almost 20 years of backlog of stuff that you need to watch.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Which, who has time for that? It was one thing like back in the day when the movies were good, but now
Yeah.
when most of them are just like pretty objectively not good, then, I mean, She-Hulk?
You thought Loki was the worst thing you've watched? Try watching Thor: Love and Thunder, please.
You know, I will say, I'm sure She-Hulk is worse because I watched, I think, a couple clips of that, and I had to, like, for my health, I had to stop. I was like, no, no, I can't do it. So that's what I was kind of thinking this was going to be like. And I was like, I'm not sitting through that. But thank God. I mean, it doesn't even feel like a Marvel show most of the time to me. It feels like something completely different. They're trying, like, way new things. And, it was such a relief. Such a breath of fresh air. The tone is way darker from the start. And I think I talked about this a couple episodes ago when I had only watched the first episode. And I was like, wow, like, I'm kind of impressed with the tone we're starting out with. But I was like, they're probably not going to stay with that. But they did for most of the time. And it just it made it so much more interesting for me. That's my overview of the show. So, I think the best part by far, aside from all the horror elements for me, is Agatha and Billy and their whole, basically the progression of their whole relationship. I think that's like the crux of the show, and it's so good. I guess everyone already knows, but spoilers for this show. Joe Locke's character is Wanda's son. There, let's get it out of the way.
Everyone knows by now.
Yeah, come on.
I kept up when this show was coming out. I always kind of like keep up through social media of what's happening in Marvel, at least in the stuff that I'm more interested in. I wasn't planning on watching it, but I kept like, I knew what was happening in the show. So I thought it was cool, even on the outside, to keep up with the mystery of it week by week. When his mouth got covered up because of the sigil and everything, I was like, this kid is Wanda's son. I knew it.
And
they even came back to the Mephisto. I don't know if you were aware of this when WandaVision was coming out, Emily, but there's this character in the comic books called Mephisto who's like basically the devil, I think. And everyone was thinking that he was behind all of it instead of Agatha in WandaVision. And then people started thinking that that was who Joe Locke was. It was so funny. But I was like, it can't be him. We already got trolled last time. finally I watched it just because Emily did. And I was like, okay, I'll get off my butt and watch this.
Well, it's so funny because you were the one trying to convince me to watch it, like, way back when it was first coming out, and I was like, no. And you're like, people are saying it's good.
Yeah, because I thought it did look good, but I was just kind of too lazy to actually start it myself.
You asked me, and I was like, no. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, Kayla,
I don't know why I didn't,
because
I knew that I would. I did watch a lot of clips on the internet of Joe Locke scenes because I was obviously a fan of him, and so that was basically all I'd seen. And then finally, I sat down and watched the whole thing, and I'm glad that I did because I agree it didn't feel like a Marvel show, except for certain episodes. Most of the time, it didn't.
Yeah. Oh, which is such a relief. But yeah, I love the whole story, basically, of... It's implied at first that he's Agatha's son. But it's pretty obvious that he's Wanda's son, even though, like, I did know the twist beforehand, but I think I would have figured it out anyway. But it's still, it's such a good story because Wanda's, like, her worst enemy. But then, and this is her son, so there should be, like, an epic rivalry. But she also feels like he reminds her of her son. So there's that, like, mother-son relationship. It's so interesting, and it was done so well. It's
my favorite thing. I think I've said this before. There's so many found family tropes where it's a grumpy man who finds a young girl, or even a young boy, and, like, has to begrudgingly become a parental figure. And it's cute. I love The Mandalorian. But I'm always like, why is this so much more commonly a man thing and not a woman thing? Because it's like, it's less acceptable for the woman to not want to immediately care for the child. And so I love it whenever there is that trope, but with a woman.
It was really good. I think that the chemistry between Kathryn Hahn and Joe Locke is perfect. Oh my gosh, there are so many scenes where Joe is so close to breaking. And it is hilarious to watch. You can see him, like, crying, trying not to laugh. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. So yeah, by far the best part of the show was that. And I think it was a well-developed story I actually cared about, characters that were actually interesting, because it wasn't characters...
Yeah, the whole ensemble was good.
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, even as I was liking the show and getting into it, I was still like, I'm sure I'm not gonna really care about any of these people, but funny enough, I was like, oh, not bad. You actually put some effort into the storytelling.
And I loved it because the with all the people, all the witches that they gang up with, it's kind of cool how they took a lot of inspiration from, obviously, the Wizard of Oz with the road, and that's, like, kind of heavy-handed throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then also, it also reminded me of almost Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because it was like they'd go into a room and leave with one less person.
Yep.
And I love stuff like that because it's like escape room almost type stuff. And so I don't know, it was in the episodic format, it just works so well. So it was really fun. And then that also, because we're gonna lose someone every step of the way, it kind of forces you. The show has to make you care in order for the episode to work at all. So each of the characters got a moment and a complete arc, and so I wasn't, like, annoyed with anyone thinking they were just thrown in for comedic relief. I was like, oh my gosh, my witches.
Yes. And just so, like, very epic. Like, whenever each character is facing, like, their final boss, whatever you want to say, it's, like, so exciting and cinematic. I'm like, yes, this is what I've been asking for. And the fact that, I mean, usually with most shows, especially limited or miniseries or whatever you want to call it, I'm always like, this just could have been a movie. You dragged this out for literally no reason. This is a perfect example of, yes, this works so much better as a show. And it wasn't something like Moon Knight or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it's like, it so obviously could have just been a movie, but
Mm-hmm.
They want to stretch it out and make a show. This was like, oh, it's an actual show. And the episodes all have a complete storyline and actually, like, leave you wanting to see more at the end. Something else I have to say, the outfits, the costume changes. There's nothing I love more than every step of the way we have to change our complete outfit. And
yes.
was I fed in this show with the outfits. Every single look was amazing on everyone. I loved how every single trial had a completely different aesthetic. And I just love that stuff.
And it was like tailored to each character too.
Yes.
And that also, as like subtly or not subtly, because I love to pay attention to the costume, it also lets you know more about the character without saying it or showing it.
Yep. And how each character has their own color as well. Oh, I'm obsessed with
Yeah,
that.
I love that. It was like a board game.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Oh my god. Yes.
It was like Clue.
Yes. But probably the biggest highlight that I personally stepped away with in this show is the Ballad of the Witch's Road.
Yes.
When I tell you,
they made it a musical.
Immediately after I finished watching this show, did I go on Apple Music and download every single version of The Witch's Road? Maybe, I don't know. That's for you to guess. But
what's your favorite version?
There's
a correct answer to this.
Oh no. My favorite version is the very first one they do, the incantation in the basement. I know everyone.
Not mine.
I know everyone likes the rock version. I do too. But that
one's the best one because it was giving Lestat vibes.
I know, and I do love that one. But I think the very first one where they do the chant in the basement is my favorite because that was the moment in the show where all of a sudden I was like, I think that
they're doing this.
am obsessed with this already. And we get not only do we get the epic song, but then we get the Salem 7 coming to the house, and I was like, what is happening right now? I'm like, are we going full horror movie? And then we were. And then when they go down to the Witch's Road and they see it for the first time, and it looks gorgeous, a mostly practical set. Wow, Marvel, that's another thing. Practical sets.
That was crazy. I know that the standard is so low, but every time they were in the set, I was like, this is I feel like I'm in the theme park or something.
I feel like I'm watching, like, an actual show.
And I love the part where, because it was so Wizard of Oz, and let me preface this by saying, when I was a child, I would request to wear Dorothy's dress, like, every day, along with Ruby's slippers, and I would watch the movie every day, so I'm a huge fan of Wizard of Oz. And so any reference to Wizard of Oz will have me in a chokehold. But the point that I think I became obsessed, or at least I, like, really respected the show, was the part where Aubrey Plaza, like, unzips the wall and walks through it. I was like, it's like a set, and it's like Wizard of Oz, the movie, it's very obvious that they have painted sets everywhere, but it's so charming, and I was like, yes, it's here.
That was great.
The yellow brick road.
That was a great moment. Everything, the whole thing, the Witch's Road, and the story, like, you have to complete all the trials, and I love stuff like that. But to put it along to the most epic song I've ever heard in my life, and that I already know every single word to, and that I belt to the top of my lungs pretty much every single day I drive home from work. I've never wanted to be a witch so bad in my life.
I know. They made witches cool again.
Yes.
Because I've been watching Mayfair Witches, and I've been like, I thought I loved witches, and what happened here?
No, that ain't it.
This show restored my faith in witches.
Yes.
Witches are really having a resurgence, though, because one, of course, there's Wicked, and then there's this show, which did really well, and, like, people like it.
Yep.
And then there's also Mayfair Witches is pretty successful, and AMC itself has a ton of witch content, so people are really showing up for witches. Mayfair Witches is technically more popular than Interview with a Vampire. Can you believe that? I don't
want to.
incredibly baffled.
That's
I don't
kinda
know
wild.
if it is, because that's just taking like cable numbers. So like
Mm.
streaming wise, I don't know if that's true. So I don't want to believe that. But you know what? If the people have spoken their mind, witches are what we want to see, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Something else that I think the show really got right as far as all the musical numbers is witches and music are pretty intertwined,
They go hand in hand.
and they just did that perfectly, which I very much appreciated. But yes, and then we
And
get
the color purple.
yes, all the colors.
I love purple. My hair's purple. My water bottle's purple. My favorite chocolate bar, Cadbury chocolate bar, is purple.
Your curtains.
Oh, look at this, Emily. I got this from the museum. It's the Triceratops on a geode, a purple geode.
Oh my god.
My favorite dinosaur, my favorite color.
Your favorite rock. Is it your favorite rock?
My favorite rock. Anyway, what were we
Sorry.
talking about?
So yes, then we get the escape room format, which I love. Something, again, as a horror fan, I was being fed. We have like a different era of horror for every trial, which, oh my god, I was so excited. We get everything from like 1980s Evil Dead demon possession.
Very much Evil Dead.
We get like a Carrie, Suspiria style 70s look. We get a Saw-esque kind of setting at the end, which I wasn't expecting.
The one with, I think it's the one you're talking about. The one where, Patty LuPone dies, where it's the trap that's coming down.
Oh, I was actually talking about the very last one where they're in that room and they're in the body bags.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely Saw. Well, that one was reminding me of Hellraiser, the one where Patty LuPone dies. I don't know why, but...
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, just so many, again, the creativity, so many different and unique styles for each episode, and it makes them all stand apart from each other. And yeah, as a horror movie fan, I mean, we're gonna get into the last twist at the end because I have so many things to say, but I was having my suspicions. I'm like, it's really like they're taking inspiration from these specific movies, but it can't be because I'm just crazy and love those movies. But we will get into it. Anywho, so yes,
That was really fun.
The Billy twist. Even though I knew exactly who he was the whole time, when I tell you how excited I was when it was finally getting revealed, and then you see him there in like kind of his look, and the episode ends, the way I dived for the remote and almost fell off the couch because I needed to see the next episode. I'm like, tell me who he is. I need to know, even though I already knew. I was like, I want to know.
I had to stop watching there because it was like midnight, and I was like, I have to go to sleep.
No.
Oh, it was hard.
We were...
And the whole day, the next day, I was like, I need to get out of class so I can go home and watch the show.
And that's like with all of these episodes, it's when each one ends, I'm like, oh, I want to know. I want to see what happens next. But that one was the worst.
I just want to say, I know that this kind of off topic, but it's not. It's about the show. This should become a Halloween staple around the house.
I will
When
be
it's
watching
Halloween
this.
time, we'll be streaming, we'll be putting this on.
Absolutely. I will be playing the music. I'm putting it into my
Yeah.
Halloween playlist.
All the versions.
Yes, every single... I have every single one, and I listen to them pretty much on a loop for the past however many weeks.
I'm so glad that they brought Patty LuPone in to do her
Yes!
her Patty LuPone thing. I was like, yes, this is so fitting. When I learned that there's a musical number, I was like, well, yes, of course.
Yes, Patty LuPone. Yeah, I didn't know that Kathryn Hahn could sing, but oh my god,
She's really
when
good.
she started singing
Yeah.
the first time, I was like, is that really her? Because that's amazing. Like, oh my god, she can really sing. And Mr. Joe Locke. Now, I've listened to the Sweeney Todd stuff, and it was like, oh my god. But then somebody like singled out his vocals in the Witch's Road song, which I heard. I'm like, why did they cover this up so much? Because this is amazing. But yeah, everyone.
Yeah, he's very talented.
The singing is on point. As I was saying, the Billy twist. Do you see how much more exciting and fulfilling something like this is compared to the cheap cameos that they want to do constantly and everything else? Because this was actually built up. They focused on it. There was nothing else that they were like, oh, we gotta throw this in and this in and this person. It was like, no. Let's just focus on, yes, it's Wanda's son, but he's also his own character. And so we build that up until we actually feel something, and it really matters when the reveal comes. Now, I do have to say, a cameo that I did appreciate was Evan Peters.
Oh, God, that was funny.
I was not expecting it, and I honestly didn't even recognize him for, like, a couple seconds.
Me either.
I was like, wait, why is the music all... Who is that? And I'm like, oh my god, that's Evan Peters. Now, that cameo was very welcome, because I love him. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved seeing him and Joe Locke in his scene together. That was very fulfilling.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
And, like, those cameos, like him and also Mrs. Hart, not Mr. Sharp. Not to be confused.
Sharp. Yeah, that was a good one.
Like, they make sense. You would expect them to show up because Agatha's directly interacted with those characters before. It's not like they come in just because they are a part of the Marvel IP or whatever. They come in because, like, it fleshes out the story. We know where we are in the timeline, I guess, now.
And you actually had good comedy with them. Again, shocking that there is good comedy in a Marvel product.
And they didn't focus on them for too long.
Yeah.
They were there to just keep the story going.
Exactly. It didn't feel like, oh, we had to hit pause and everything else. Let's watch the little comedy hour for a second. It was like, no, there was comedy, but it was... Or
it's like a spin-off episode.
Yeah, exactly. So I did, like, that was a cameo. I was like, okay, yes, I'm here for this. And I have to say, something else that I love about the show in general, but with the Billy character, is he has, like, this Anakin Skywalker streak in him. Where you think, like, okay, he's Wanda's son, so he's gonna be the good guy. But kind of not... I mean, yes, he's a good person, and he has, like, good morals and everything, but he does have, like, that bit of morally gray about him. And it might just be because he's, like, a moody teenager.
And an anger streak.
Yes. And then, like, you remember, though, that Wanda started off as a villain. And so it makes sense that he kind of has this not always so superhero-esque thing about him.
I think that, I mean, I guess we can get to the reveal because we already have gotten to the reveal. But the fact that he reanimates a dead corpse, like, he's basically walking around in a dead body, technically. Yes. And he, like, doesn't... Like, it's creepy that he's pretending to be this family's son. So there's definitely that edge to him. Yeah. But you also obviously feel bad because he didn't technically, like, knowingly do that. It was kind of like a survival instinct just because of his power. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's really cool how they did that. I didn't know that going in because I hadn't gotten that spoiled for me online. So that part was really interesting.
I don't want to get too excited because I'm like, I know how Marvel works and they'll set things up and just forget about it. But I really want to see where this character goes because he seems like crazy powerful. If you think about, because he's the son of the Scarlet Witch. He can read minds. He can do all the witch stuff. He can reanimate dead bodies. He can put his brother's soul into a dead body. Like, he seems like...
he literally is Anakin because he basically is made from magic.
Yes. And with his whole, like, doing kind of questionable stuff to save his loved ones. I was getting such Anakin Skywalker vibes. And this is, like, my small plea to the universe. Please cast him as Rey's apprentice in the new Star Wars movie because I would die. I'm crossing my fingers.
That'd be crazy.
I would love that.
He would be in a pretty large Netflix show, a Marvel show, and a Star
Yeah.
Wars movie.
Give him everything. I don't care. I would really love that. I'd love to see him in Star Wars because the Anakin Skywalker vibes were here. All right.
Yeah, he's good at giving the evil, which you wouldn't have expected because all we've seen him in before is Heartstopper.
It was so
where he's
cool.
basically just all fluffiness.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I knew that I was like, that's not all there is to this kid.
Yeah,
so when we got to this performance, I was like, this is really fun. He got to do a lot of different things, which is cool.
Yeah, very, very exciting. And to see him at the end in his superhero costume flying down epically, I'm like, oh yeah. Yes! This is everything.
It's giving X-Men.
And if you think about it, I don't know if this is true or not, but I was getting the sense, I mean, I know nothing about this character and the comics and everything, but since he has that, like, his power looks kind of like a electricity-ish, I was wondering, is that because he's technically Vision's son? Does he have a little bit of Vision's power in him? Or...
I don't know. Could be.
I don't know. But I was kind of sensing that. And if so, again, that would make him, like,
very
extremely powerful. So I'm very interested where this character is going to go.
Yeah, he has, like, Infinity Stone blood in him.
But is that true? Because Wanda just created him. Or did she use some of Vision? I don't know. I don't know. Because her magic can do crazy stuff, so I wouldn't really put it past... She doesn't even know what she did. Yeah.
So I don't know.
She didn't know what she did. But I will say, okay, so getting into sort of negatives about the show, I will say the final battle with Agatha and
disappointing.
him and what's her name, Rio?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was hoping for a bit more. We don't really get to see Billy in the costume for that long, as cool as he looks,
No.
and as, like, epic as it was when he came down and saved Agatha. That's kind of it. I think he gets, like, 2 hits in.
That's all he did.
Yeah. And then it's over.
And he gets thrown into, like, a greenhouse or something.
Yeah. And then he came back, hits her again, and then, okay, the end. And I was like, I mean, I kind of, like...
Like, the show kind of fell apart for me in the last couple episodes. That doesn't mean that I'm not excited for what they could do, but I was kind of like, it kind of became Marvel by the end for me.
I mean, I feel like the reason they didn't do huge battles because they were trying to not be as Marvel. Because actually one of the things that I didn't love about WandaVision is how at the end it once again became CG Battleland, and I was like,
yeah,
I kind of thought we weren't doing that. Here, I did not want that here, don't get me wrong. I don't need a CGI land battle, but I wish, like, as soon as he threw her back into the house, I'm like, oh, are we gonna get some, like, gritty, like, camera follows them through the house, and they're just, like, going at it, blasting stuff, like...
Yeah, kind of like, Spider-Man.
Yeah, like, something simple like that. I didn't need a huge 20-minute thing, but I just want a little more, like, let's fight a little bit, you know, and...
Yeah.
And it was kind of sad we didn't get that. And it did feel like Marvel in the way that they were like, well, in the future we might. It was like...
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I miss when shows had... I mean, I think this mostly has a complete arc, but they really are setting up for something. And I miss when shows could just, like, maybe leave it a little open-ended. Like, Stranger Things. The reason that so many people loved that was because we didn't know that we were going to get a second season, and originally it was planned to just be the one season. And with that in mind, I love the fact that it is completely rounded off, but there's still an element of mystery that if they had just left it with that, would, like, be on people's minds for forever. I think that that's the perfect way to end a season of television, because even if you do get a second season, you have something to work off of, but if you don't, then it's still, like, it holds itself up on its own. So
I agree.
I didn't expect that from Marvel.
Yeah, it is,
to be clear, but it would have been cool.
It's kind of difficult at this point for Marvel to do that because they've built such a gigantic thing, and I know they are trying to start the Young Avengers, so they have to do kind of something with that. But I think there could have been a bit more here, especially in that episode, the second to last episode, I wanted a little bit more of a fight. I wanted to see Billy's power a lot more there, see what he could do. But I guess, again, they're kind of setting it up. I mean, I hope they're setting it up for the fact that he's still kind of untrained, and Agatha's going to be the one to show him how to get things done. I'd love that, but I just don't know if they're going to go through with that, so I don't know if it's worth it. But I guess only time will tell. But
Yep.
Gosh, the part of this episode that I did love, and is like probably one of my favorite moments of the whole show, is the reveal that the Witch's Road was never a real thing until, lo and behold, Billy Maximoff created all of it. And how did he create all of it? Well, as it's revealed as we get the camera around his room, it is because he's a horror movie fan, and he pretty much based...
And a Wizard of Oz fan.
Yes, and just a fan of witch stuff in general. And he... all of the things throughout the entire show where I had all the... oh, that's like Carrie. Oh, that's like The Craft. Oh, that's like Saw. You see all of those posters in the back of his room. I'm like, no way. I was spot on every single thing. That was so...
It was really cool.
Like, I was sitting there like, no way. I could not believe it. And even earlier, they hint at it, because you see a little bit of the posters earlier on. I'm like, And then he says,
I thought it was just like an Easter egg because the show was inspired by that. But it was really cool. And especially, like, we should have seen it coming.
Yes.
Because Wanda did the exact same thing. And Agatha the whole time, obviously she knows, because she knows there is no Witch's Road. She's like, you're just like your mother.
And it goes back.
It was right in front of us the whole time.
It flashes back.
Oh.
See, now
really
that
satisfying.
twist, I didn't see coming. And I didn't know beforehand, but I was like,
I didn't either.
This is amazing. And I even caught on earlier, even before he was Billy, back when he was William, I guess, was the kid's name. He's in the...
Which is hilarious, because that's the same name.
Yeah. Isn't that Sherlock's middle name, too?
Oh my gosh.
So he's in the tent with Patti LuPone, doing the palm read, and he says something like, "Oh, I love your setup. It's very early Argento." I was like, was that an Argento reference when I was just saying that the scene in the 70s thing was like Suspiria? I'm like, no way. And sure enough, yes
funny.
way.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, this, if you're a horror fan, this show just feeds you. It's amazing. I would have never thought that a Marvel show would use things like Dario Argento or Saw for inspiration for its episodes. I'm like, and that I would be right in guessing it, because usually I just say that, but it's just me. I don't know how to explain it, but and of course made me like connect to the character even that much more, because like, oh, he's a horror fan like me. So that twist was like, I could cry. Amazing.
It was great.
And then we get to the final episode. Now, the final episode, really, I watched this a second time, just last night, actually, and it really grew on me. Like, the first time I watched this, I kind of didn't know what to expect, so I was like, okay, why are we going back in time? What's going... Oh, okay, we're saying... Okay, what? But this time, I don't know. It's such a good episode. I love... So, the character of Agatha, one of the reasons why I was not so excited about the show is because I assumed they were going to do the same thing that they do with a lot of villains nowadays, which is like, oh, she's not really bad, she's just morally gray. And I was like, whatever. This show, it's so... I don't know how they did it, but somehow they did. That you definitely, like, sympathize with her, and she's very likable, and, like, you want to see more of her, but she is evil. She is 100% villainous. There is no morally gray, and no.
Can I just say,
and
it's Lestat coded. It's the same exact way that I feel about him. It's how I feel about her.
Yes. And a lot of it is Kathryn Hahn's performance.
Yes.
Because she can obviously play, like, a very charismatic person. I'd seen her, like, in some serious stuff before this, but I've never seen her give this kind of a performance, where when we see all this stuff with her son back in the past, and she's still, like, doing these horrendous things where she's murdering these witches.
Her own
but
kind.
You still feel like, yeah, and you see how much she just loves her son, and the pain when he dies, it's like, oh, I do, like, feel for her.
Yeah.
But she's still, like,
she's
very
evil.
villainous.
Yeah.
And the final part of the twist, where we get the final version of the Witch's Road, and we see that it was just something that she made up so that she could slaughter all of these Okay, I wish that I had been recording my reaction to this show, because when I tell you it was, like, nearly midnight first time I watched this, I'm watching this final episode, hearing this banger of a song, but seeing, like, the final puzzle piece in the twist, I'm literally sitting there, like, jaw dropped to the floor, like, no exaggeration, leaning off the edge of the couch, like, are you kidding? This is crazy. And that was, like, yeah, I love this show.
I was like, you go, girl, kind of, because, like you said, when you see her in Agatha All Along, yes, obviously she's the villain, but she's also very goofy, and so I was like, if they're gonna make a show about her, it's I love a more intimidating villain, like a villain who's actually villainous and is scary.
Yeah.
But it's also okay to have that charming quality. And they balanced that perfectly. And also, like, seeing in detail her murdering and sucking the life out of dozens and dozens of witches. It was like, yes, this is what we need more. This is what I want. But also, you can have someone who's evil and also give them a really grounded emotional story that makes you root for them. That is the type of character that is my favorite. And especially when just the queer element of the show, I love problematic gays because yes. We need more
villainous
of that.
gays everywhere.
I think there's really been a push to, like, even characters of color, like, if you have them being a villain, it's seen as a bad thing. But, like, no, you have to see every shade of these people because they're often, like, stuck into the whole of, like, this one character archetype. So, yes, seeing them as heroes is really important, but seeing them as villains is equally important and also more interesting to me. So,
yes.
I think that with her being villainous, also with Joe Locke's character, I think a lot of people were worried at first from the trailer that he was too, like, stereotypical gay, like, but there's a lot of, like, complexity to his character and also comedy.
Yeah.
Like, I just loved it. I love these gays.
Yes. All the camp.
Yeah. It really felt like it was made by people who understand.
It was made by the gays.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with that because villains, guys, I know it's hard to understand, but villains can sometimes just be evil. And that's it.
Yep.
They can have, like, stories and character and things that we could relate to them just because, like, we're human and we understand, we empathize, but they also don't have to be like, well, it's morally gray, she's just evil because she was hurt. Like, no, she's kind of evil just because she wants to be, but she also happened to have some horrible things happen to her. Yeah, I loved that, even with the fact that she sacrifices herself ultimately to save Billy. Wasn't because she's like, it's the right thing to do. She was just like, you know, he reminds me of my son, and I feel like I'm just having a moment where I've been alive for however many years. Maybe it's time to try something else, and in the meantime, save this boy who I've grown a reluctant connection with, which I loved. And I think they pulled that off, too, which is hard to do. So, I found myself, unfortunately, excited and looking forward to the future of Marvel because of this show. And the way they ended off, I think it was pretty good, because we see where Billy and Agatha are with each other, and it's kind of like this rocky, like, obviously he's upset with her for being a murderer, but he also kind of recognizes that dark streak in himself as well, so he's kind of like, maybe we can have common ground. And then, of course, it's a new journey. They're going to find Tommy, his brother, and of course we get the final little musical sting of the Witch's Road to send us off, which I loved. And I thought that ending was pretty good. Better than the anticlimactic fight in the previous episode. Because even though there wasn't, like, a huge thing at the end of this, I feel like it ended the right way for this show. Like, it ended the tone, like, yeah, that's how a show like this, I think, should end. Where it feels like a complete story, but also is like, what will the future hold? We're going on a new Witch's Road, in a way.
Yes.
And I was quite happy with it.
I think I'm just so disenfranchised with Marvel that I was like, oh great, they're setting it up for a sequel. I'm not excited.
I know.
I will watch it,
even if they do,
but I don't have, like, super high hopes for it, just because, one, I don't know if it'll be made, and two, it might be, like, looped into some other thing that I'm not interested in, and then I'll have to watch something else that I don't want to watch. So I don't know. Exactly. I'm tentatively.
I'd be surprised if we get anything else that's just focused. I've heard so many things. I heard they're doing a season 2. I heard they're doing, like, a whole series just on Billy. I hear they're doing a Vision series. Like, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I'd be really shocked if they did something that just focused on these characters again. I don't think they're going to do that. I think if we see them again, they're going to be tied in with whether it's the Young Avengers or the Vision show. They're going to want to... They can't help themselves.
I'm okay with there being a Young Avengers because I don't mind Haley Steinfeld. Well, who else have they set up? The girl from the Marvel, Miss Marvel. I don't know much about her.
Yeah, not into that, sorry.
I don't know. I'm not completely, like, ew about that yet, but I don't know when it's coming. They're not going to be young by the time it comes out.
I know. They have Iron Man's daughter, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Or people have been theorizing the kid from the third Iron Man movie might take up the mantle. I don't like that as much as his daughter. I know now. Well, yeah. He's around Joe Locke's age, I think, the actor.
Oh. They said they're going to do Hulkling, too.
Hulkling?
Hulkling. And people say it's going to be Kit Connor, but I seriously doubt
it. That would be crazy.
In the comics, Billy and Hulkling, I think, have a thing. So I think they're like, oh, it's going to be Kit Connor.
Imagine. That'd be crazy.
Not that Kit Connor would be bad as the Hulkling, but that'd be wild if that happened.
I mean, I wouldn't hate it. But
I wouldn't hate... Listen.
Especially if we're not getting Heartstopper Season 4.
Yes. If you want me seated at Young Avengers, hey.
Bring them together again.
Hey, I wouldn't mind. Do you have a favorite episode? What'd you say?
My favorite episode, it has to be the 70s one just because of the musical number.
That's a great one.
I think, like, that one's the one that's standing out to me.
Yeah.
And also we have Rio back, and I love Aubrey Plaza, anything she's in.
She's great in that episode, too. I love how she's... I mean, it makes... And again, obviously this was because it was a point with her character, but I love how she's just always kind of in the background. Like, hey, are we gonna gonna do something
There
or what?
was one moment where I was like, what was happening? Where was she when this happened? And I literally had to go back and like track where she was the whole time.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, she's great. Everyone is great in this. My favorite episode, shockingly, upon my second watch, episode 9, the last one.
The last one?
Yeah, it was almost like, is this my favorite? It was pretty close, but still, my favorite episode is episode 2. I think because that's when like I really started to be like, I'm obsessed with this, I think. We get the first version of the Witch's Road, we get the horror elements really start to come in, but also because pretty much like 80% of that episode is Billy and Agatha and their back and forth, which is hilarious.
That's the one where they go and search for everyone, right?
Yeah. And it's
the recruiting part was really fun. Yeah.
It's just like the setup and like what's gonna happen. It was perfect for me. Favorite character, you guys will never guess who my favorite character is, but it is Patti LuPone.
Listen, she's very high up on my list.
My favorite character is Billy, obviously.
I think Billy's my favorite character too, with Agatha as a very close second.
Yeah.
They're the best part.
Great character.
And then Patti LuPone.
Yeah. Have to mention Patti LuPone. Okay. I do have some favorite quotes that stood out to me that I have found myself saying almost on the daily. I love Agatha's, "You want straight answers, ask a straight lady."
I love that part.
Icon. I love the line that Joe Locke said he struggled to say in an American accent, which was, "It's giving middle-aged second chance at love vibes, and I'm here for it." I love that one. That's
that's the thing, like, when people were worried that he was gonna be like this gay stereotype, no, he just talks like a kid, like a young kid.
Yeah.
And that's not the only thing there is to him.
Yeah. What did he say when he's like, my mom went to see her last concert before she died, R.I.P. I'm like, oh my god,
no! It's real.
R.I.P.
Yeah, that's what I loved, is he's so funny, but he also does have the creepiness to him.
Yes.
He can switch between both. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah. It makes it just so much more layered than your average Marvel character.
Yeah.
I loved that same scene, by the way, where he's like, what did he say? He's like, "I bid on a limited edition album of the ballad or something." He's like, "But it costs more than I make working a summer at the Hokey Pokey Bowl."
Yes. And his accent in that scene is so funny. He's like, "Hokey Pokey Bowl."
Bowl. Anytime he said behind, he said behind, by the way. But literally, I saw a clip of that on YouTube Shorts or something. And the first comment was someone like, "I would pay a whole separate fee just to watch a series about teen summer at the Hokey Pokey Bowl." Like,
yeah,
yes!
like a little mini series. I love it.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, what is the Hokey Pokey Bowl? I want to know so bad. Is it a restaurant?
And then his boyfriend, my favorite part was when his boyfriend calls in the car and it comes up as like Bay or something.
It's like Boyf.
Oh yeah, Boyf. That part was so funny. And he's like, "Sorry, he worries."
Does that character even have a name?
He's just Boyf.
I think he's just boyfriend. He's just objectified to boyfriend.
I know. Good for him to have just a side piece.
Yeah. Until he hooks up with Hulkling, I guess.
Yeah.
And finally, a quote that I love is from the man, the myth, the legend, Evan Peters himself, where he says he had to run away from the town. He's like, "Left my entire Blu-ray collection behind."
Yes! That was relatable.
I'm like, oh, I felt that. That's rough, buddy. Really rough.
I had to leave my entire Blu-ray collection behind when I left for the UK, so I felt him.
So yeah, the writing, wow. Good writing in a Marvel show? Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Actual laughs? Never would have expected it. I never would have expected a chuckle.
So yeah, overall, I was obsessed with this. Still am. Going to be for a very long time. Something else I wanted to mention was, with a show like this, what you would expect, and what I was definitely expecting, was a message about, like, oh, the coven, and, like, togetherness, and female friendship, and we all overcome our differences, and it kind of just flips all that on its head, which I loved, where you get that, like, kinda, but also it's mostly about individualism and, like, finding your own inner strength and independence, which I love personally a lot more than, like, female friendship. But anyway, that sounded bad, but, like, you just get that message so many times.
Yeah, and they were unabashed about the fact that she's not a girl's girl, Agatha.
Yes.
Like, she literally kills the girls.
Yes, and you think, like, okay, she's evil, but by the end, she's gonna discover the power of friendship. Like, no. She wanted to murder them from day one, and she would have murdered them on the last day, too. And she murders every single coven she comes across. It's like, oh, it's so dark, and it's so messy, and I love turning that trope on its head, because that's what you expect, especially, like, in today's age, and when you're getting a witch story, like, oh, of course it's going to be about, like, the coven, and we all stand together, and blah, 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 but it's like, you know what? You know, girl, stand on your own, and you are powerful enough on your own, and you can find that inner strength, and I love that message. So yeah, solid 4 out of 5 from me. I love the blend of action, horror, and comedy. Shockingly worked amazingly well. And I loved it even more the second time I watched it. I was even more obsessed. And I will be watching it again this Halloween at some point.
Yes.
And I will be listening to the songs for the rest of my life.
I didn't know they were downloadable, so I'm going to do that.
That was the first thing I did. As soon as the show ended, I grabbed my phone. I'm like, okay, Apple Music, give me every version. Every single version of The Witch's Road, please. And I've been listening to them ever since. So
lovely.
I'm ready for karaoke.
I give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was very surprisingly enjoyable, and it did keep me on my little toes. I loved all the characters, and yeah, I didn't expect for a Marvel show to make me want to keep watching, which I can't say about other shows I was watching at the time, such as Yellow Jackets. But I was running back. I found myself running back to this and, like, putting everything else on hold for it, which I was not expecting myself to do for a Marvel show. So that really says something.
I watched the entire thing in one day.
I did.
I watched the first episode, and I was like, it looks good, but I don't want to get too excited. Watched the second episode, was like, okay, we're locked in. Next. I don't even know. It got to midnight. I'm like, I don't care. I need to finish. And yeah.
It Joe locked you in.
It Joe locked me in. That is our...
Guess that concludes our discussion.
Yes, I'm so happy I finally got to talk about this. If you couldn't tell, I've been holding all this in for so long. There's, like, probably hours more I could talk about, too, like, digging into a deep analysis, but I will spare you. Anyway, anything you've been watching lately, Kayla?
I finished Yellow Jackets today. The final episode aired on Friday, and I finished it today. It got a little bit better, but I still think it's by far the weakest season. I will say that Shauna was a standout this season. They made her unabashedly an evil villain, which I love. Shauna's been the most interesting character to me since the beginning, but people hate her because she's obviously kind of the worst. But I was like, I love that they just leaned into that in season 3 and made her like an actual villain, which was cool. So we'll see where that goes in the next one. But yeah, other than that, this was a season that left a lot open-ended and a lot of character arcs that kind of just were flat and just weren't even really there. So I hope that they wrap that all up in season 4. I kind of hope that season 4 is the last season, but I've heard that they want to make 5. So I guess we'll see what happens from here. But yeah, overall, kind of disappointed because I do love Yellow Jackets as a show, but season 3 did not leave me happy. Anyway, what else did I watch? I went to see a movie, didn't I?
Screamboat?
That's right. I was like, what was that weird experience that I had?
The way your face just lit up was so funny.
I can't believe I forgot about that. Okay, so the other thing I watched was Screamboat, which is the newest in the series of movies that are being made now of things that are they're old enough that the IP's old enough that you can't get copyrighted for using it. Yeah, it's public domain. So now everyone's making horror movies out of it. This one was about Mickey Mouse. Oh
Steamboat
my gosh. Willie. Yes, sorry, Steamboat Willie.
Mickey Mouse is not in the public domain.
This was a hilarious film. And all of the Disney references were so good and so funny because it was kind of like, it was like trying to be wholesome but in a horror movie way. So it was really fun, and it was like there's a bunch of stuff that you could pick, like if you weren't paying attention you wouldn't notice too, so you could pick up on interesting stuff. And the oh my gosh, Willie is an icon. First of all, I wasn't expecting him to actually be mouse-sized. He's just this little guy attacking people. And then there's this one scene where, can I say? Or is it going to ruin it for you?
Oh, what? A spoiler?
Yeah. It's just a spoiler for one of the deaths.
Oh, it's fine.
So he basically, like, saws a guy's head off. And then he uses his head as a little stepping stool so he can steer the ship. And it's so cute. And he does the little whistle. And oh my god.
Oh my god.
It's incredible.
I'm assuming David Howard Thornton is amazing as usual.
Yes, he really brought it in this performance. He was adorable. Like, we were like, adorable. Oh my god, he's so cute. I'm kind of rooting for him.
I hope they get a plushie of him.
Yes. It was kind of sad because he's this mouse that has been experimented on, and then he got forgotten, or like, I won't spoil it, but he ends up like just kind of rotting in the bottom of this steamboat forever, and then he comes back and he's hungry for flesh, and he also is hungry to find love, and you know, I root for him. I hope that he finds it.
We support women's rights and women's wrong.
Yes, I support mouse rights and mouse wrong. Yes. And you know, I was expecting it to be a little bit more gory than this, than it was, but there were some great kills. There were like about 3 really good kills and very bloody, which was fun.
Nice.
So I just had a ball. I don't think I stopped laughing from the beginning. I mean, it was stupid. There's a scene where they are fully drinking out of empty cups. They're like taking shots out of empty cups, and you can see that they're empty, and it's hilarious. I was dying. It's so bad, but it's so good.
Oh,
and
I love it.
I do want to watch it again. It was fun.
I'm so excited. That sounds like just right up my alley.
Yeah, there literally is a group of girls who are based off each of the Disney princesses.
I saw that.
And I was like, Emily would eat this up.
It's my 2 favorite things combined.
Yeah.
Disney and just bloody gore.
Yep.
And David Howard Thornton.
Yeah, doing some jigs, whistling. His main thing is like his red herring, I guess, or not red herring, but like his warning
calling
sign
card.
is you hear a whistle. Yeah. And when I got home from the movie theater, I saw this at, it started at almost 10, and I got home a little bit past midnight in a country that I've not lived in my whole life. And I walked into my apartment building, and the door opened on itself, by itself for me, which never happens. So that was creepy. I walk in, and as soon as I walk in, there's this girl, I think like a couple floors up, who was singing, and it was echoing down the staircase just in the way that little Steamboat Willie's whistle would echo across the ship. And I was like, what in the hell is this? And it was, you know what? I was scared for a second, but mostly I was comforted because I was like, oh, it's like Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, it's just Steamboat Willie. Yeah.
So it was an interesting theater experience. It might make my top 10 because that has recently been proven to very much influence my top 10 because Twisters was such a fun theater experience for me.
Yeah. That's
so
what
we'll see.
Terrifier 3 was my second favorite movie of the year because
the
theater experience was so fun. Yeah, I wish I could have been there. It's not in theaters where I am right now, which is sad. But yeah, one day I shall see it. Hopefully by the time you get back it'll be out on digital.
Yeah.
Which will be fun.
We'll watch it. What have you been watching, Emily?
I've been watching Agatha All Along, of course. I've been watching like little clips of people from Heartstopper in like random TV shows or short films. Oh my god, I watched this episode of this show called The Frankenstein Chronicles because little Kit Connor was in an episode. And I was like, normally I just like watch the scene, but I'm like, this looks like a show I might like, so maybe I'll just check out the whole episode. And dumb me, why do you think that Kit Connor is only in one episode in a show where it's about a person killing children? I'm like, oh, he's so cute. I can't wait to see him. Oh, look, he's so adorable. And as he's going about the show, I'm like, wow, they're really setting him up like he's going to be like a main character. Why isn't he in the rest of the show? And then halfway through, I'm like, wait a minute. Wait.
Wait.
I was like, oh no. Oh god. No. I don't want to see Kit Connor die, and I especially don't want to see pint-sized Kit Connor die. So that was rough. I was like, okay, thank you for that. But the show was pretty boring, so I won't be continuing.
Aw, dang.
I love a lot of what the Heartstopper people are in is horror, so I've been very, very pleased with that. It makes it very easy to watch a lot of this stuff, so I'm like, it's right up my alley. I'd watch it anyway, even if they weren't in it. So I still have a lot more to go. I mostly just watch like the TV shows and everything. Haven't got to the movies yet, but I'm very, very excited. So we have some interesting ones coming up. We have Tao is in this vampire film that looks very fun. Sebastian Croft is in this movie that I had on my list like a while ago, and I just looked it up and I'm like, he's in this? I'm like, thank God I looked before, because if I had just watched that, I would have gotten jump scared by Ben Hope like immediately. Like, oh, what the heck?
Now that's true terror.
I need a trigger warning for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, been watching his stuff. This is my excuse and my chance to branch out into watching stuff that I wouldn't otherwise watch. And it has stuff in it from a show I'm currently obsessed with. So it's always interesting, because, like, am I going to find, like, a new thing that I'm into? You never know.
Yeah.
It's happened many a time before. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's this very long episode, as usual. Make sure to follow us on, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What?
What's the next episode?
Oh, I forgot. Hold on. I
don't even know.
I always forget to do that. Oh. You know what it is, Kayla.
I'm hoping I know what it is.
Next episode is Kayla's turn to take the mic for the majority of the time, because we are talking about Interview with the Vampire.
We made it, folks. We made it. Victory's ours.
I love... We've had so many queer shows that we've discussed this season.
I know.
And we need more of them. We need more shows where just everyone is queer. And
yep.
and
just... everyone's a vampire, too. That's, like, on top of it.
Yes.
Makes it amazing.
A vampire or a witch. That's where it's at.
Maybe this episode will contribute to their Emmy campaign and get them the Emmy they deserve.
Yes. Please, the 2 people who watch us, please. I guess we better wrap up, though, so you get your Taco Bell. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for all our updates and news and fun TikToks that will be Agatha All Along based that I'll be doing this week.
Yeah.
And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a new episode. And that's all for this episode.
And we will get you on the flick side with vampires.